Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a deleted user in the Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "My brother-in-law implied I was doing inappropriate things to his daughter. I haven't slept, eaten, or done anything since yesterday afternoon when my brother-in-law texted me about a video I took of my niece." Context: he works in security and has experience in law enforcement, and he has very strict rules regarding his daughter. My sister says he's always imagining worst case scenarios and is very protective of her, which I completely understand. I have never once criticized or downplayed his boundaries when it comes to his daughter. I always say yes and agree that things won't happen again, like being in the room when she's changing or allowing her to kiss me in front of others. I only found out yesterday that another rule is to not be alone with her in a room. He even enforced that rule on his own brother, which surprised me. My niece stays at my parents' place because my mother watches over her while my sister and her husband work. She comes to my room to hang out with me, watch what I'm doing, or spend time with my other siblings. I took a video of her laying down with my cat while he was sleeping. It was a cute moment, and I posted a short video of it on the family group Snapchat. Hours went by, and then my brother-in-law texted me things like, "Why are you recording her when you're alone? We don't want anyone to get hurt, right?" He then flipped out after I said, "I didn't know that's how you felt, but I'm sorry and it won't happen again." He called me stupid and pointed out the fact that I, an unmarried man, take videos of young girls. He said I should understand why people might look at me funny. I'm a dance teacher who creates content for my studios. I've been doing this for 14 years, and this is the first time anyone has ever accused or implied that my actions look like something else. I honestly did not know how to react to what he was saying. I was in the middle of dance class when I read those texts and had to step out because I was so shocked by the implications he was baselessly throwing around. My two sisters got involved and my mother got involved because I had no clue what to do or say about my brother-in-law's implications that I would harm my niece in any way. It was late at night when he called my sister to apologize, but then kept saying things like, "I'm being manipulative" or coy. He never once apologized to me while he was on the phone with her. I need advice on how to handle this moving forward. Everyone agrees that what he said was out of line and that he should apologize face to face, but I'm scared that if he does apologize or tries to have a conversation, he's going to strong-arm me with his police training and ego to get me to apologize, something I already did, but he's the one who fanned the flames of an innocent interaction between an uncle and his niece. Edit. I forgot to mention that both my sister and brother-in-law had instances where they were harmed by an adult family member when they were younger. I already knew this about my sister, but never knew my brother-in-law also went through it. I've worked with children, toddlers, teens, high school seniors all my life, and I go through sexual abuse and harassment training. I'm a mandated reporter. I would never downplay their worries or experiences, especially regarding certain interactions with a toddler or child. However, me taking a video of my niece hugging my cat never should have warranted such rude, harsh, and heartbreaking comments from the man who married my sister and has known me for the past 17 years. More context. I've come to find out that my brother-in-law actually texted my mother before texting me, about an hour before I received his messages, asking her what my niece was doing and where she was when I uploaded that Snapchat video. She then also said the same thing about what happened and sort of defended me to my sister as well. In a situation like this, I feel it's best for OP to just stay away from the family. Even if the brother-in-law did overreact, it was out of a place of love for his own daughter, and I personally think that's something that should be respected. However, I want to be clear that I do think there were better ways of approaching OP, and the lengths he went to were definitely overkill. Regardless of whether this was just a misunderstanding, I believe OP should stay away. Now, when I was reading through the comments, there were a number of people accusing the brother-in-law of being a pedophile for whatever reason. I'm not sure if I missed something in the story or if this is just Reddit being Reddit, but I never got the impression that the man was a creep. However, I can agree that maybe he needs some therapy. User Yo-Yo said, "You should stay away from him and your niece from now on. If you have to be around them, make sure other people are present. Never be alone with your niece again, because you need witnesses if your brother-in-law opens his mouth again. Save those texts. If he harasses you again, then you need to take him to court and show that first, we don't want anyone to get hurt, right? Text because it's 100% a threat. Don't talk to him. If he talks to you, then walk away. Let him dig his own grave. To this comment, user Sunbear said, I would also talk to my mom about whether an at-home daycare situation is appropriate, given how quickly the brother-in-law is to make implications and accusations. This could affect OP's livelihood, and expecting a toddler to stay out of entire areas of the house perfectly is impossible. The child is being cared for in his home, and it's unreasonable to expect him to be on guard against any scenario the brother-in-law can create accusations out of in his own home. That kind of stress and tension is not what homes are for. User 005 said, I smell projection. Being overly protective and paranoid, coupled with having been abused or molested, raises some questions. Does he, by any chance, use video surveillance in his work in security or from his experience in law enforcement? To this, OP said, that's exactly what he does. Surveillance working in a hospital. He worked for the phone operators for one precinct, but that's it. No official police role. User Pixie Elf said, the brother-in-law needs therapy. If he won't get it, I would consider getting someone to examine your niece, a doctor or something, because something is very wrong here. Yes, he may have been sexually assaulted as a child. Did they take videos of him? Normal people take videos of their nieces and nephews doing adorable things. This guy would think I'm a predator based on all the pictures I have of my nephews and nieces just doing cute kid things. How would your niece get hurt by a video of her with a cat in it? This does not make sense unless he is trying to cover something up. This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, I am 35 and my 58-year-old mother's new fiance wants me to call him dad. He's 24 years old. Please buckle in because this is all so weird. I'm a 35-year-old man, and for some backstory, my dad died when I was 19, leaving my mom with me and my two siblings. It took some time, but eventually my mom started dating again. We don't live together per se, but our house is back onto each other and have a gate. So it's pretty common for her to offer to do my laundry or for me to go over for dinner or to look after our dog. That kind of stuff. Plus, my siblings and I go over there for dinner every other Friday night or so. A bit after she started dating, the men she's been seeing have been getting younger and younger, but I've never had a problem with them. She's been very open with me and my siblings about wanting to get married again, and we've always been supportive, at least after the initial shock. The latest guy is by far the most serious, and they've been dating since around last June. He proposed at the start of autumn, and they want to get married next summer. Again, my siblings and I are fine with this because it's her life and we trust him. He's a nice guy and they clearly love each other. But anyway, the long and short of it is that this weekend, her fiance, let's call him Phil, called me and asked if I could come over. I said, yeah, sure, I'll be over after work, assuming he just needed help with some DIY stuff they're doing. When I got over there, he called me Sport and said we needed to talk. I should mention that this is something he does with me and my little brother. He calls us things like kid, sport, scout, little buddy, or my personal favorite, calling us red and blue seemingly out of nowhere. My brother is 30, by the way. He tried it with my little sister once too and called her princess, but he stopped when she just stared at him. The thing with Phil is that he reminds me a lot of Charlie Day's character in Horrible Bosses, in that his sole ambition has always been to meet a girl, get married, and have a family. When he told me and my brother this, my brother made some joke about how maybe our mom's gonna come up short on the last part, and Phil got very upset, but they made up afterward. Anyway, I went over there and asked if my mom was around. He said no, it was just him and that we really need to talk man to man. I said sure, and he started talking about how he's always wanted to be a father and raise a son to call his own. Then he dropped this bombshell by saying, now I know I can never replace your father, the man who made you, but it would mean the world to me if you could call me dad. I'll admit it, I snickered a little. Then I knew he was serious because he looked like he was about to cry. He didn't drop it either. I asked if he really meant it, and he got really emotional, talking about what it means to be a man and how his purpose is to have and provide for a family. He wants me and my siblings to be part of that family. He reiterated that he'll never replace my father, but he's ready to step up and be my dad and provide for and protect me and my siblings. I'm just sitting there thinking, dude, I'm a decade older than you and live in a separate house. I don't need providing for. Even if I did, I don't think a guy a third of my age who works part-time at the hardware store and is into collecting manga is the man to do it. No offense if you are into that, just, I don't know, I was a bit taken aback. I was in shock, so I just said okay, and he got emotional again, but in a happy way, talking about how he wants to go camping or go to a baseball game, and how he joined the Lions this year and wants to bring me into it too as his boy. This just feels so surreal because, again, I'm 10 years older than this guy. Well, I ended it by saying this had gotten a bit too weird for me and that I was going home. He got very upset, so I left, called my brother, and he agreed it sounds weird as fuck. Later, my mom called me and she wasn't disappointed but admitted that it had made him very upset and depressed. I told her that if he's embarrassed, he doesn't need to be. I understand he's excited about the marriage and we can just laugh this off as a funny story. She then said that wasn't what he was upset about. He is upset about the fact that he poured his heart out and I rejected him. She acknowledged that it is a bit kooky, but this is how he proves to himself he's a man. I guess I was a bit angry and said something like, first off, it's not my job to certify what's between his legs, and second, this doesn't prove he's a man, it just proves he's a nut job. I apologized immediately, but she said she didn't want to hear it and hung up. She called back 10 minutes later and we apologized. She begged me to just go along with it until he has some kids to call his own. I won't go into too many details here, but she sort of let slip that they plan to try IVF treatment because she's not ready to give up on being a mom just yet. While I have my own thoughts about whether or not that's a good idea, I'm not here to debate that. We finished up fine, and I reiterated that I would support her. She agreed that it was definitely a stressful situation for me, but begged me to at least think about it, which leads me to here. I did think it over, and obviously I'm going to say no. I had a dad, and he died, and that's the only dad I've ever needed or wanted. I will never bestow that title on anyone else. I'm not asking if someone is unreasonable or what I should do. Rather, I'm more concerned about what I should say. This clearly means a lot to him for some reason, and I deeply love my mom, so I want to try to minimize the damage, especially since we're still so involved in each other's lives and they live behind me. How can I make it clear to them as painlessly as possible that I think this is weird and borderline offensive? I really don't want to rip the band-aid off because I fear what it might do to the family. Edit, I showed my brother the post and he laughed so hard he started coughing LOL. Then he said we should call him Daiki Dr. Phil and each other blue and red. Thoughts? Edit 2. As people were asking, he has no access to my mom's money or anything like that. She rents the house, which came pre-furnished and otherwise has no real assets. She doesn't make a lot of money anyway, so there's no pecuniary motive we could think of. User Mariposa Fantastique said, I think both he and your mother have some serious delusions. User STG Pepper said, if it's so important to his personal identity to find a girl, have kids with her, and raise them as their dad, it seems like marrying a 58-year-old woman with adult children significantly older than himself is a pretty ineffective way to achieve those life goals. If it's so important to him, he should find someone his own age and make that happen the normal way. It's not your responsibility to make your mom's boy toy feel like a man. You're closer to being his much older brother than his son. Weird. User RabtFTS said, if the genders were reversed, we would be calling your mom a predator. So I'm just going to put it out there. This is pretty wildly inappropriate. He clearly has some issues he's projecting onto your mother, and she should be dating someone her own age. Update. Anyway, I told both my siblings and we agreed we would collectively put our foot down with Phil at our next family dinner next week. This decision came especially after an incident where Phil referred to my brother as sport and asked if he wanted to go see a baseball game with him. Admittedly, I was a bit spurred on by what you all said and got involved, responding with no tickets for me, daddy. My brother then responded with, daddy wants to keep me all to himself. Phil took a few minutes to respond before saying he was shocked, speechless, and disgusted. He then messaged me privately to say he was utterly appalled and that he would never disrespect his own father the way you boys did. At this point, I kind of lost it and said, right, that's because you're not my father, Phil. You're a 24-year-old man-child dating my mother. You have no right to my respect, especially not to the respect a father gets. I immediately apologized but then blocked his number and left the group chat. Apparently, he sent a similar message to my brother, who responded with more daddy comments and Phil blocked him. Well, that aside, I don't think that family dinner is going ahead. After the original post blew up, it seems someone from his Lions Club found it and reported it to their chair or whatever. Phil has either been expelled or resigned or is in the process of one of the two. He has removed nearly all mentions of the Lions from his social media and no longer mentions being a member. His last post about it was some cryptic goodbye where he kind of drones on about what it means to be a man in the modern day and the duty of fatherhood bestowed on all men at birth. Really weird stuff. My mom called me half in a panic and half in a rage about the stuff I'd been telling her about him before breaking down and saying we need to meet, which we did, bringing my brother along too. I know he has temporarily moved back in with his parents in the next town over, but from my understanding, they still want to go ahead with the wedding. I think that's mostly because they've already spent money on it. When she said she was determined to have more kids, my brother stepped up and asked if she really thought that was a good idea at her age. I pointed out that assuming she had the baby next year and lived to 80, they still wouldn't have finished college. She just stammered about how people live longer these days before breaking down crying and admitting she's not ready to give up on mothering due to some deep-seated trauma and fears about the family breaking apart that I won't go into for her sake. When we reassured her that we weren't going anywhere, she calmed down, and we had a very good honest conversation where she agreed to drop the IVF plans on the grounds that it would be too expensive and unlikely to get approved. She has agreed to look into fostering instead. My brother and I highly doubt anything will ever come of that, so we're not too worried anymore. The very good news is she's also agreed to look into therapy or psychiatric help to deal with her trauma. We've helped get her in touch with a nice lady in town to unpack all this in a healthier way. So at least one person is getting the help they need. I have no idea what has happened with Phil or what will happen with him, but I made it clear to my mom that he is not my dad. He's not even my stepdad. I'm not a kid anymore, and he's never going to be either one outside of legal matters. She relented pretty quickly, and we've agreed that if things go ahead with the wedding, that's going to be a huge red line. Though I don't know if he'll want to be friends with me after all this. Anyway, thanks for the help on the original post. Edit, a bit of an update as I can't respond to everybody, but I think the marriage is off. Phil has gone AWOL again and has had a huge argument with his family, as they've demanded he call off the wedding and date people his own age. This apparently made him snap. My mom and I have met his mom and older brother, who said Phil is very insecure around girls his own age and has never been able to talk to them, hence his preference. This very deeply upset my mom, and after some begging from all of us, she has agreed to push the wedding back, though she wants to keep dating him. I have no idea where Phil is, though his brother assumes he's couch surfing with his Dungeons and Dragons friends, who have been sending my brother and me some not so nice messages because clearly we're just jealous of the MILF hunter. If any of you socially inept individuals are reading this, I don't need to chase middle-aged folk because I can talk to boys my own age like a normal person. Peace. This last post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Ancient Guava. The post is titled, "I am seriously considering leaving my husband with a 4-month-old. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am feeling completely lost and heartbroken. I'm seriously considering leaving my husband and I just need to vent or get some advice. I know I'm not perfect, but I've done everything I can to be a good mom and wife. I went back to work full time and often work late into the night, yet I still do my best to feed my baby, spend quality time with her, and wake up for her at night. On top of that, I'm dealing with emotional pain from my parents' marriage. My father has always treated my mother poorly, and it's devastating to see. I promised myself I'd never let myself end up in a similar situation, but here I am. I married someone who speaks to me rudely and even curses at me. During our last argument, he went as far as telling me that my daughter will hate me like everyone else, and even called me ugly as Those words cut so deep. Hate is a strong word, and I don't think I know anyone who truly hates me. In fact, I can't think of anyone who does. The way he said it made me realize that's probably a feeling he has inside toward me, and he just let it out in that cruel way. I believe only someone who hates you can say something that vile. I've rarely experienced hatred in my life, but for the first time, I'm starting to understand what it feels like coming from my own husband. The thought that one day my daughter might understand and witness her father treating me this way gives me chills. I've worked so hard my entire life, academically and professionally, to achieve the things I have today. Yet, when it comes to my personal life, I feel like I've completely failed. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. I've forgiven him many times. First because I was pregnant, and now because we have a baby. But with every argument, I fall more and more out of love. I can feel the day coming when I won't be able to take it anymore. I don't want to give up too soon, but I also don't want to stay in a situation that feels so toxic and unhealthy for both me and my daughter. Has anyone been through something similar? How do you even start figuring out what to do next? I feel like I've tried everything, but nothing changes. Any advice would mean the world to me. Thank you. User Contribution Sad said, that is emotional abuse. User Diligent Penguin said, you're in an abusive relationship. Abuse often starts during significant changes or advances in the relationship, such as moving in together, relocating to a new city, state, or country, engagement, marriage, pregnancy, and after giving birth. This is because the abuser starts to feel comfortable enough to reveal their true self. They believe that after reaching a certain milestone, their victim is less likely to leave them, so they can finally drop the mask they've been wearing. After you became pregnant, your husband thinks he's got you, so he can now treat you the way he's always wanted to. He is never going to stop. Abusers never do. They just escalate. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.